High Court Justice Abhijit Ganguly quits as judge of the Calcutta High Court. Few hours later, joins the BJP. All set to fight Lok Sabha elections in the next 2 months.
BJP and I have some common friends. They arrange the thing, and it is very decently. It is done very decently. 4-5 days back.
उनके जैसा व्यक्तित्व ऑनेस्ट आदमी अगर किसी भी पार्टी में जाता है तो वो पार्टी के लिए एसेट है. तो बीजेपी में आ रहे हैं, हमारा एसेट बनेंगे वो.
Massive controversy peaks over him joining the BJP. TMC alleges quid pro quo milord. Charges of reward for positive verdicts fly.
Before his resignation from the chair, he started talks with BJP. How can it be possible? He was fully motivated, politically biased.
No law that mandates cooling off period. But questions on morality and probity peak. Time to mandate cooling off period. Top focus on To The Point this evening. Time to mandate a cooling off period. Our top focus on To The Point this evening. I want to, before we cut across to our panel, hark back to 2 interviews. One of the former Chief Justice of India, U. Lalit, and the other of S.K. Kaul, Justice S.K. Kaul, who retired a short while ago. And what both of them said when asked the question whether there should be a cooling off period, or as judges, should they or anyone accept post-retirement government posts or get aligned to a political party?
It all depends upon the individual. See, some individuals may find nothing objectionable. Person like me would rather say that very well, let me try something else in another quarter. Correct. I have been a lawyer, I have been a judge. Let me be a professor now.
A constitutional position like a judge who has worked his way through should be able to take his call what he thinks is proper or not. Okay. So for example, there are judicial posts. Now, I don't want to take them. If somebody else may be doing a service by taking them, that's his or her call. Whether to occupy a position offered, whether a judge should take, not take, whether what should be a cool-off period. It's a very individual call, I think.
So, both the former Chief Justice of India, U. Lalit, and Justice S.K. Kaul said, well, each to their own, but it's not for them. It's a tad bit unfair, is what Justice Kaul said. Let me just take the question that is it time to maybe mandate a cooling off period, or is there a sense of morality or probity in public life when it comes down to quitting and immediately getting aligned with a political outfit or a party? Joining me this evening, Sanjay Hegde, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court, Desh Ratan Nigam, Political Analyst and an Advocate in the Supreme Court, Vineet Goenka, Author and Political Analyst, and Riju Datta, TMC Spokesperson. Mr. Hegde needs to leave and catch a flight, so I'm going to quickly come to you, Sanjay Hegde, for a comment. Sanjay Hegde, there's no law which mandates the fact that there should be a cooling off period before any judge joins a political party or takes a post like governor, but there are questions of maybe morality or probity in public life that come in.
Of course, there are questions of probity. The basic strength of the judiciary is its appearance of impartiality. Now, how do we argue before a judge, especially somebody who's on the verge of retirement or who is contemplating a resignation to enter politics? Do we call them your lordships, Justice so-and-so, or do we call them prospective governors? What trust will our clients have in our ability to speak the truth to power and to put their cases forward before an impartial judiciary? That's the least that the Indian nation demands. And please look at it that the judges themselves have adopted a code of conduct called the Bangalore Declaration, which has required them to be non-political. Now, you can be technical about it and say, look, where the Constitution has put in any kind of bar, like retired judges cannot practice in the same court that they once were judges of. There's a specific constitutional bar. There are no other bars. But I think the greatest bar will be that of public opinion. And if any judge, shortly after demitting office, appeals to the court of the people, I think it would be incumbent on the people to tell him, Mr. So-and-so, we respected you as a member of an independent judiciary. Your conduct currently shows that you were not independent, and we as the people reject you. Ultimately, why do judges, just one last thought. Why do judges resign and get into politics? Because they're almost assured of a win by the political party concerned. This judge, for instance, is not joining the People's Front of something or the other, or is not contesting elections as an independent candidate. He is relying on the machinery of a political party which may have benefited in public perception from his judgments. So the appearance of a quid pro quo compromises the system.
Mr. Hegde, stay with us for the next 5 minutes. I just want to bring in Desh Ratha Nigam into this conversation as well. Desh Ratha Nigam, it is a tad bit weird because where's the justice in all of it? If you look at it, the same individual till 2 weeks ago was presiding over cases which were contentious when it came down to the current dispensation, which is the TMC in the state of West Bengal. And in the next 2 months, will now be fighting an election under the ticket of the BJP.
Well, Preeti, in fact, if you have to comment on Justice Ganguly, you must comment on the merits of the case. On the facts and circumstances of the case, did he compromise there? No. That's my clear this thing. Perception battle may be fought here and there. And the same issue had come to the Constituent Assembly in 1949, where the Constituent Assembly rejected it. The chairman of the drafting committee, Ambedkar, also rejected it, saying carrying it a bit too far. Yes, there have been instances from Justice Fazal Ali from 1952, who joined the Nehru's cabinet and was also given a number of responsibilities. Then MC Chagla, K. Subba Rao, Justice K.S. Hegde, Hansraj Khanna. Then you have Barul Islam and Justice Krishna Iyer also, from politics to judiciary to again back to politics. So there are numerous examples in the past till the stage of Mr. Ganguly. And that has been the case. Under the Constitution, can you deprive a person his constitutional rights of taking part in Indian politics after resigning is a moot question. Yes, there are issues which has to be dealt on individual cases, and the reforms, if at all have to come from judiciary itself. They have to make a call, as Mr. Hegde pointed out, about the restatement of values, that is statement that they had given 8, 9, 10 points, where apart from not taking a post, which was about clubs association, which are associated with law that they had said, but they had not absolutely barred. But at the same time, there were certain issues that they will not talk to the public, will not give an interview, judges will not. They themselves have been flouting it. So some kind of guidelines have to come, binding guidelines. Otherwise, the parliament can make a call. Cooling off period is a very good suggestion, that you may not be able to, accept the posts. See, contesting elections is something else. Joining a political party is something else. Or there is another aspect where you accept benefit. Suppose some posting as governors. Those are the kind of posts where the cooling period can be considered. And therefore, independence of judiciary has to be maintained. It has to be isolated. But at the same time, please remember the age of retirement is 65. Earlier it was 60. And that age needs to be increased. When it is increased, the possibility of people resigning and coming back into other fields will not arise. So those are the factors, that can change the people
for accepting benefits after post-retirement, whether it's a quid pro quo or not, is a separate issue. But
okay, but that's what we are debating, right? I want to bring in I want to bring in Sanjay Hegde once very quickly before we let him go, and then we'll open our panel to our TMC spokesperson and Mr. Goenka. Sanjay Hegde, there's a fact in what Mr. Nigam is saying. The changes will have to come through the judiciary itself.
Well, the you have trusted the judiciary for quite some time, and the judiciary is worthy of trust. But there are individuals within the judiciary whom the judiciary has not been able to control. You ran interviews with Justice Lalit and Justice Kaul. There is, after all, a certain, if I may use the phrase with the greatest of respect, a certain trade union loyalty among judges as well, and among men and women of law. We do not like to say things which would be hurtful to a member of the bar. But there are times when we must realize that we owe a greater duty to the public at large. Justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done. That principle was established nearly 200 years ago in a case where a Lord Chancellor decided a case where he owned one share of a company. That entire judgment was overturned, saying that we have no doubt that the Lord Chancellor acted with the highest of motives, but nevertheless, it is the perception of justice in the public eye that has suffered, and therefore, that entire judgment was set aside. Here, each of the judgments that Mr. Gangopadhyay, as he now is, was privy to, has now become suspect. While he was sitting on the bench, was he targeting the TMC in the hope that he would get a BJP ticket? I don't take parties. Today it is the BJP, tomorrow it may be the Congress, the third time it may be the TMC or the Communist.
Okay.
The principle should be judges like Caesar's wife should be above suspicion. This is where there is a lot of suspicion.
All right. Mr. Hegde, appreciate you joining us. Let's open the debate. I want to bring in Mr. Goenka into this conversation and Mr. Riju as well. But Mr. Goenka, taking off from what Sanjay Hegde is saying and also going on to what the charge of the BJP is, which is validated by Justice Ganguly himself, stating that 4-5 days ago, the BJP got in touch with him to fight the Lok Sabha elections. At that point of time, he was still in the position of Justice Ganguly and not retired, neither quit.
Pritiji, Ram to you, Ram to all my co-panelists and all the viewers who are watching me. So I will reiterate one statement of Mr. Justice K.T. Shah, which was done on June 7, 1949 in the Constitution Assembly, where he wanted to debar this kind of, opportunities to the judicial persons. But Mahamanav Bharat Ratna, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, felt it was not appropriate. And I think when we talk about somebody to be debarred, we are basically disagreeing with what Mahamanav Bharat Ratna Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar said in his wisdom. Number two, if you see, in 1952 itself, as rightly said by my previous speaker, Sir Syed, a Muslim judge, was appointed to be governor of Orissa. Now, this was as early as 1952 by Jawaharlal Nehru. Then Jawaharlal Nehru continued to appoint judges, not only ambassadors in countries like USA and UK, but also into their cabinet. They were holding positions like Minister of Education, Minister of External Affairs. Now, when it was done that time, I think I'm sure it can be done now also. Now, if you ask me personally, I'm of an opinion like the bureaucrat has to give and test, pass and result. His years are being measured under confidential reports, CR reports are being maintained. There should be some kind of judicial services whereby the judges are not appointed by whimsies of a collegium, but they should come through an exam, or they should face the electoral the way the executives are faced. Now here, expecting one particular individual not to contest will be irrelevant. The question will be not appropriate, because when we have seen so many judges who have contested as president candidate, they have been contesting otherwise also. I think he is a fair person, he is an honest person, he should be allowed. Now you see another example, highly paid lawyers like Abhishek Manu Singhvi or Kapil Ji, they have been contesting election, getting elected, they were ministers, participating, whereas also performing their duties as a lawyer. So I think an individual should not be just because he comes from Bharatiya Janata Party, or if he just comes from a party which you may not like. But on the other side, I think unfortunately in Kolkata, when Mamata Banerjee was going and doing something which was not accepted by the judiciary, you cannot call that the judges have passed remark because they had individual dislike. See the conduct in the Sandesh Khali itself. In Sandesh Khali, women were raped, molested, they were being tormented, yet the police do not act. Now, if a judge passes a judgment or a comment against the Sandesh Khali administration or the state, then do you think that that is because they are affiliated with Bharatiya Janata Party? A judge, when he is performing duty, he is honest. But yes, unfortunately in this country, neither judges have to give the exams like an IAS or IPS, nor they have to face an electoral. So many times people have this thing. So there should be a discussion at a larger level. Judiciary requires a reform.
All right. But Mr. Goenka, you quote Dr. Ambedkar, and if you go back to him, there have been many instances, and you would agree, where possibly the current incumbent government have gone against that grain. But let me also quote somebody else. You had somebody on the floor of the parliament, Mr. Jaitley from your own party, said very clearly that pre-retirement judgments then could be questioned on post-retirement postings. So all of that, in all contexts, that has happened, and especially at a point of time where there is a sitting judge, and he says that while he is still a sitting judge, where he's taking decisions which could be of acute political importance, especially 2 months before an election in a state, that he was approached by a political outfit to fight elections, and therefore he decided to do so. The question might be legal, but the questions on probity will be asked. But I want to bring in Riju Datta into this conversation.
30 seconds, please?
Sir, may I go to Mr. Datta, and I'll come right back. Just hold on to that thought. You'll get ample time, sir. Mr. Datta, there was a point that even Mr. Goenka that he's made, or even what Mr. Nigam made, that there is no rule barring a judge to take any political position that he deems fit, and it's happened before multiple times, not just once.
Correct. Yes, there is no rule, and Mr. Ganguly can join a political party. But the question here is, what he said to the press conference today, that I was in touch with the BJP and vice versa. That means an honorable judge of the Calcutta High Court, sitting on the chair of an honorable justice, was in direct touch with the primary opposition political party in the state of West Bengal. That means he himself has proved that we, as the primary political party against the BJP in West Bengal, should cast aspersions on all his judgments, which we are going to do, and we are going to go to the apex court against all his judgments. Point number one. Point number two, I want to quote late Shri Arun Jaitley ji from what he said from the floor of the parliament. He said, and I quote, "The desire of post-retirement job influences pre-retirement judgments. It is a threat to the independence of the judiciary, and once it influences pre-retirement judgments, it adversely impacts the functioning of the judiciary itself." So my question is this. In other cases, whether it is the case of Mr. Ranjan Gogoi, whether it is the case of Ajay Krishna Vishwasha, where on the last day he pronounced a judgment and then made a Lokpal of Lucknow University, or in the case of V. Chidambaresh, or P. Satyasivam, or P. N. Ravindran, they all completed that tenure and then joined a political party, or they were rewarded by a political party. But this is the only unprecedented case in the history of this country where a sitting High Court judge, before his tenure ends, has submitted his resignation, stating on press conference that I was in touch with the primary opposition party and I'm going to join BJP and contest on an election ticket. It has never happened in this country. Okay. So basically what it shows is that he has abused the chair of a judge. All
right. Okay, Mr. Goenka, please respond. You wanted to come in. All right, Mr. Datta, let him respond. Yeah, Mr. Goenka, please respond.
No, I think, Mr. Datta, you have not read it properly, you have not researched properly. If I can quote you, Hansraj Khanna, he was additional district magistrate in Jabalpur. He resigned while he was serving there because he was and then he was minister in Charan Singh's government, and he also contested against Gani Jail Singh in the precinct. So there are incidences where a serving judge has resigned and then contested. I'm sure he could not have resigned and then been contacted by the political party which would have given him an opportunity or something like that. So there are many incidences. Maybe I can put you another example is Justice Islam. So or Rajdan Mishra. So they all went through this grill. So I think it is timing. This time, because a judge is contesting on a ticket which you don't like, then you're trying to label him as to be somebody who is not just. But rather,
Mr. Goenka's point, the morality aside, Riju Datta, because the morality or probity in public life aside, the question is, it's happened before. It's the pot calling the kettle black. It's happened in the terms of the opposition and the Congress. It's happening now on the other side. It's the same thing then.
And the number of judges appointed commissions after retirement, it is always evergreen judges.
Okay, sir, let Mr. Datta respond. Yes, Mr. Datta respond.
Thank you. But has there been any precedence where the judge sitting in the chair of his judge has directly made observations and commented on the sitting chief minister of a state? He has done that. He has made personal remarks from the chair of the judge against the National General Secretary Abhijit Ganguly, who has filed a PIL and the Supreme Court saying that he is defaming.
All right, 10 seconds, Mr. Goenka, respond. I need to close. Sir, 10 seconds more. Okay. Let him respond. Sir, let him respond. I'll come back to you for 20 seconds. Go ahead, Mr. Datta, make your point.
Yeah, let me come. He is the only judge in this country who does not have a reported judgment, and 85% of his judgments are set aside by the Supreme Court or by a division bench.
All right, 10 seconds, Mr. Goenka. I need to close the bulletin. 10 seconds, Mr. Goenka. Please respond.
Yeah. See, unfortunately, West Bengal is an experiment where everything which is wrong, which goes on. Now, I had seen the chief minister sitting on dharna along with the police commissioner. Even that is unprecedented. Do you have an IPS officer to sit with the politician there? I had seen that, the ED officers have been attacked by the ruling party's goons.
So basically, all is fair. Either sides of the divide is what you're trying to suggest, sir. That if it's happening on the other side, then what's wrong with this? But the questions, like I pointed out earlier, on morality, on probity in public life need to be raised, especially if you're already a sitting judge, then suggesting that you were called from a political outfit and you've accepted to fight the elections, then questions will be raised on the justice that Justice Abhijit Ganguly delivered. A quick break to stay with us.